play day, A pay. Before I craft the spot, stay at home a lot. Cause when I run the plots that I'm known to concoct, can hear the screams of fools when I fall them rocks. Elven ladies, they pay homage. The players say, hey fellow, how? My last game was supersonic. How they wondering if I still got it? They say the game's changed. They wanna know what I think about it. If you ain't rolling dice, Game Master A's the name, and I'm running this game. Still reading the splat, still planning attacks, still not.
Hello and welcome to another episode of THACA, or to hit armor class awesome, awesome being me. This episode is going to be about the world of darkness, specifically speaking, the new world of darkness. I guess you could also port this to the old world of darkness as well, but I have very little to no experience with the old world of darkness. I've ran a game of Dark Ages Vampire once. That was a less than stellar experience for me. Not really the fault of the game or anything like that, or the mechanics or what have you. It was one of these moments where I, as a DM or a GM or a storyteller or whatever the fuck, I was in way over my head, and I decided to let a bunch of people play this game. A game which I wasn't very well acquainted with. And I was just like, yeah, first time play. I like a bunch of first time players playing the game. Or a bunch. I mean, a bunch of first time players could be anywhere from 1 to 3. I mean, one first time player is bad enough to have to introduce them, but I was playing with a lot of first time players. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. It was poopy dicks. But yeah. So I'm talking about the new world of darkness for this episode, which is I was kind of going hard on the D&D, so I'm going to pull back on that shit. New World of Darkness. It has the core book, which is people, just normal people. For those who don't know, World of Darkness is a lot like our world, except there's a shittier. Vampires exist, werewolves exist, wizards exist, ghosts exist, all these things, that could kill you rather easily exist. But the core book is mainly for people. For just regular people. They're having their adventures. They have the vampire line where you can be a vampire, Requiem, werewolf, the something or other, I think. What the fuck? Werewolf. I think the Apocalypse, Werewolf the Apocalypse is Old World of Darkness. Why the fuck can I remember the New World of Darkness one? Werewolf the Reckoning or some shit? I don't fucking know. Promethean the Created, Geist the Sin Eaters, Mage the Awakening, or something, yeah, Mage the Awakening, and Hunter the Vigil, which is, the Hunter book, where you're a person, but you know about these things, and you're actively trying to kill them. There's a thing that comes up with the New World of Darkness, which is kind of problematic. I mean, it seems cool when you first think about it, and then when you try and run it, shit gets cray. Mainly being the urge. There's an urge that some people may feel to attempt to take all these game lines and try and smash them into one game. For example, you could have a guy who's a vampire, a guy who's a werewolf, a guy who's a sin eater, and a guy who's a mage. That sounds cool, but these games aren't really meant to be fucking smashed together, really. Everyone's working from a different core book, or a different book, a different line book, if they're doing this. They're all making different characters that are so vastly different, and some of them by all rights should be actively attempting to kill each other for example, the werewolves and the vampires, true to the common popular lore of those two things, they don't get along. They're not supposed to. Not in the fluff or the setting or anything. Mages and vampires also have kind of a beef. Mages and werewolves, they're just not meant to be together. Each game has a very specific feel and theme to it, and they don't really. You can't. I mean, you can try, and you could just hand wave a lot of the things that are set up in the lore of the New World of Darkness lore, but it's a pain in the ass. And I mean, when it comes down to it, you could probably get everybody to agree on one game. Everybody agrees on Vampire, everybody agrees on Mage, everybody agrees on Werewolf, whatever. That's the best way to do it. If you have that one guy who's like, I think I want to be a fairy. That's another one I forgot. Changeling, the something or other. Changeling, the something. The Forgotten, maybe. I have every book except for Changeling. Changeling's the only one that I don't have. Oh, yeah, and Hunter. I don't have Hunter either, but my friend has Hunter, so it's almost like I have Hunter. The way that I stumbled upon this kind of knowledge in terms of the World of Darkness is the fact that my friend, who was running a Hunter game, he was kind of thinking about, we were all playing Hunters, but he was like, well, if somebody gets bitten by a vampire, he may turn into a vampire. If someone gets bitten by a werewolf, they might get lycanthropy, so on and so forth. It's a cool idea. It definitely is a very cool idea, but it doesn't work because you're a group of monster hunters. If anybody's to be turned or changed in the game, that person is now the enemy. And there's ways you can work it where you go like, oh, but he's our friend. But no, it doesn't. You can't compromise on that stuff, because as soon as you do that, then the hunters are gonna go around not hunting. They're gonna be negotiating with creatures of the night, which is kind of counterintuitive to their whole existence. They're there to hunt fiends. And it was a valiant attempt at something that was different, and I give my friend mad props for even attempting to do something like that. And there were people in our group who just they really weren't even interested in the hunter aspect of it, which is just like insane. It's insanity. There's still, like, you're playing the game Hunter the Vigil, and half the people are actively trying to get themselves turned into other things, werewolves or vampires or something of that kind of thing. And yeah, it doesn't work. There's really nothing else to say on the subject. If you really want to force it to work, you can, but it's gonna, like, there's like fundamental aspects of the setting that are going to have to be altered, which makes it a lot harder to tell the story. If you're playing Hunter is really the only one that you could conceivably try and do it in, because people are, or maybe the core book. You can do the core book and everybody turns into something different. Hunter, it's exceedingly difficult to work that in. It's borderline impossible because of the thing that I mentioned earlier, where hunters are hunters. That is what they do. If somebody in the party turns into a vampire or a werewolf, well, you could try and work. The only way you could really work it is that they're actively trying to find a cure for his condition. And if they do find a cure for his condition, they're not hunters anymore. They are now traveling apothecaries, basically. Basically, they're going to be going around curing people rather than hunting them, which is an interesting. That's fine. That's interesting, and all that. But there's not going to be a lot of or maybe there's going to be a lot of combat. But I mean, the thing is that the fundamental objective of the game has been changed. Maybe the DM can kind of shoehorn some method by which maybe not all conditions are curable. Maybe the only reason the hunter was able to be cured was because of his beliefs that were so strong against his condition and character. Of course, the player was trying to do that the entire time. That he was able to be salvaged or saved from his whatever affliction befell him. But it's a hard thing to do. It's difficult for a DM. It's kind of grating for the DM as well, because he's running a particular kind of game, and if he states outright, like, oh, you can turn into these other things, there are inevitably going to be people in the party who that's their main goal now, is to change into that thing. They're like, oh, I want to be a Promethean, or, oh, no, I want to be a vampire. Which at that point is like, well, why aren't we just playing that game then? There's a whole book written and ready to go if you want to play that character. If you're playing a hunter game, that's ostensibly speaking, that's what you wanted to be. My general view of it is that if you get the gaming group together, ask them what they want to play. Let them know that this is what they're playing. Once that has been sussed out, and be like, yeah, this is it. So you're a vampire. Or, yeah, so this is it. You're a hunter. If you get turned, that's a bad thing. You don't want to be turned. Because most likely you're going to have to roll up a new character. But generally speaking, you want to keep the game. Whatever it says on the tin, that's what you're playing it as. Probably the hardest one to play is Mage, or hardest one to run, not play. Running Mage is kind of difficult because the magic in World of Darkness is very open-ended, which is very cool, but at the same time maddening for someone who's never been acquainted with that kind of stuff before. And the spells are very cool, but they also are very flexible and versatile as well, which makes it more complicated to play. I had a friend who ran it once. He had binders that were organized with all spells and shit, and schools of spells and all that stuff. He was very, very regimented, but I've never attempted to run it because I'm not that ambitious. Okay, running up to the time up point, so I'm gonna cut it here. Thanks for watching.
I'm representing for the players all across the world.
Still
Killing kobolds with my claymore, girl.
Still taking time to perfect the sheet, and I still got time for the feast. It's the D&D. It ain't nothing but warlocks, bitch. Just another campaign for y'all nerds to play with. Whether chilling in your basement with your fly witch, hold on to your sack, goblin attack. I'm representing for the players all across the world.
Killing kobolds with my claymore, girl.